Welcome, everyone, to the Real 411. I am your host, Dr. Chelsea McGee. Today, we're diving into a critical and complex power balance, the judiciary versus the executive branch. For years, our courts have been a cornerstone of democracy, but now they find themselves under siege in ways that are both deeply alarming and unprecedented. Play this clip.
Is reporting this evening that Trump's going to issue an executive order tomorrow to shut down the U.S. Department of Education, something that roughly 2/3 of the American public is opposed to. Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi went on TV tonight and threatened 3 different federal judges by name. Another federal judge today blocked the Trump administration's efforts to force trans women into men's federal prisons. Another federal judge blocked them from unilaterally killing off money that Congress had appropriated for teacher training. In the insane case where Trump took 3 plane loads of people and shipped them to El Salvador with zero processing at all, just grabbed them off the street, forced them onto a plane, and shipped them to a prison in another country without any hearing or legal determination at all. Now the Trump administration has been forced to admit that, quote, many of the people they did that to had no criminal record whatsoever. But nevertheless, they're in prison now, indefinitely in a foreign country, and we're not even allowed to know their names. We're not even allowed to know if any of them are, I don't know, U.S. citizens? There's a lot going on, and a lot of it is very hard fought and full of drama. But as much as we are watching all of those stories, those kinds of stories every day, we are also trying to keep our eyes on the sort of shadow stories in the boring corners. Because for now, that is where they are trying to seize truly breathtaking authoritarian power. Not in the future, but right now. And the courts, for now, are kind of, sort of, barely stopping it.
Take the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate turned activist. Khalil, a lawful permanent resident, was arrested for what the administration termed anti-American protests. The judicial response? Judge Jesse Furman stepped in, halting Khalil's deportation. But astonishingly, there's already a push to have the case moved to another jurisdiction, possibly to undermine his legal standing. It raises the question, how far can an administration push its executive power to bypass the rule of law? Then there's the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Yes, a law older than most of our country's institutions, that was invoked to deport Venezuelan immigrants accused of gang affiliations. Let me be clear. These are individuals who are barely given proper due process before being sent to potentially life-threatening situations. The courts tried to intervene here too. When Judge James Boasberg issued an order to halt the deportation flights, the planes had already landed in El Salvador. It's not just about ignoring a court order. It's about the blatant disregard for human lives and legal protections. Steve Vladek, a constitutional law professor, calls the judiciary our last line of defense against unchecked executive power. And frankly, I think he's right. He likened the administration's strategy to a 6-year-old testing boundaries, pushing until someone yells, "Stop." But what happens when the judiciary is shouted down or worse, ignored entirely? I've seen this play out in the lives of my patients. Just last month, a patient of mine, a father of 2 U.S.-born children, was detained for deportation. His wife was left to manage not only her kids, but a chronic heart condition we've been treating together for years. And the court order to pause his removal, it came hours too late. He's now separated from his family, and they're drowning in uncertainty. These battles aren't just legal abstractions. They ripple into the lives of real people, real families. And let's be honest, this isn't just about policy nuances. It's about testing the limits of power, exploiting vulnerabilities in the judiciary, and reshaping the meaning of accountability. Now, let's talk about those 89 executive orders. In just a few months, Trump's administration has issued a flurry of directives touching everything from immigration to health care. But make no mistake, These aren't just policy decisions, they're legal minefields riddled with constitutional challenges. Let's take healthcare. The administration attempted to cut funds for gender-affirming care for minors. Judges like Lauren Alicon stepped in, calling this action ill-conceived and blocking it outright. It's a victory, yes, but it's also a sign of just how far the executive branch is willing to go. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Chief Justice John Roberts recently issued a rare public rebuke against Trump's calls to impeach judges who rule against him. His message: judicial decisions may not always align with your preferences, but impeachment isn't the remedy. The appeals process is. It's a critical stance that underscores something foundational to our democracy: judicial independence. If we lose that, what stops the executive branch from bulldozing any dissent? Take diversity programs as another example. Trump's executive order to end federal funding for diversity and inclusion initiatives faced immediate legal roadblocks. Judges like Adam Abelson have consistently pointed out the vague language and clear overreach in such orders. While courts have blocked these actions for now, the fights are far from over. These cases symbolize more than just legal battles. They represent broader societal questions about justice and equity. What's concerning is how strategic these executive moves are. They don't just test the letter of the law, they test its spirit. For instance, the blanket suspension of USAID funding disrupted countless organizations and undermined both administrative and congressional governance. Judge Amir Ali noted that no rationale was provided for such sweeping chaos. It's governance by destabilization. Upend the system, flood the courts, and see what sticks. As a physician, I can't help but think of this as administering a high-dose toxin to test if the body can recover. But our democratic systems aren't invincible. The real risk to governance, civil rights, and public trust are profound. When judges have to act as emergency brakes, it's a sign that the wheels may already be coming off. And it does not stop there. The courts are barely keeping pace with these challenges. It's a torrent of lawsuits, appeals, and injunctions, each one defending pieces of our democracy. But where does this leave us when judges are increasingly scrutinized and independence becomes a liability instead of a strength? So let's bring this all together, shall we? As we wrap up today's discussion, we can't avoid the elephant in the room, the unitary executive theory, and what it truly represents. For those unfamiliar, it's the idea that the president holds near absolute authority over the executive branch. While this is not a new concept, its extreme application in the current administration is troubling, to say the least. It's not just about bold policy moves or decisive leadership. History shows us where unchecked executive power leads. Andrew Jackson ignored the Supreme Court in Worcester versus Georgia, and we saw the catastrophic trail of tears follow. Nixon, his contempt for judicial constraints brought us to the brink of a constitutional collapse during Watergate. Now, fast forward to the present day. Trump's application of this theory has gone beyond just consolidating control. It's weaponized authority in a way that undermines judicial integrity itself. Take his open intimidation of judges, calling for impeachments, public denunciations, and stirring up targeted threats. It's a strategic play to marginalize the judiciary's role entirely. But here's something we mustn't forget. The legal field isn't just about the lawyers and judges in courtrooms. It's also about the people who rely on these systems for justice. Think about the thousands of federal employees who were unlawfully removed under dubious claims of poor performance. Judges like William Alsup stepped in, exposing sham processes and reinstituting their jobs. It's a rare win, but at what cost? The stakes are staggering. A government that fires individuals for arbitrary reasons, or worse, for perceived opposition, destroys public trust in its institutions. And let's face it, this is a tactical maneuver, akin to purging dissenters to consolidate loyalty. It mirrors the autocratic impulses we've seen rise in other parts of the world. Judges are striking down these actions for now, but intimidation looms large. What happens when lawyers stop taking these cases out of fear? When the legal framework becomes so strained that the judiciary collapses under the sheer weight of executive defiance? This isn't speculation. It's a trajectory. As a nation, we cannot let this redefine who we are. Accountability isn't partisan, it's fundamental. If you're listening to this and feel even a spark of concern, know that you're part of the solution. Speak up, advocate, demand that leaders uphold the rule of law. Because in the end, democracy isn't just a system, it's the people who fight for it. That wraps up today's episode of The Real 411. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for tuning in and for your continued support. It means more than you know. If you found value in today's discussion, please drop a comment. Follow us on all social media platforms and let us know what topics you'd like to see us cover next. Be sure to sign up for our email newsletter so you never miss an update or exclusive insight. And if you believe in independent media that digs deeper and dares to tell the truth, please consider following The Real 411 on Substack and Fanbase. We offer both free and paid subscriptions, and your support helps us continue producing content that informs, empowers, and sparks real conversation. Thanks again for being part of this journey, because remember, the story is never just the headline. Until next time, stay informed, stay bold, and stay real.